Good morning and welcome to the Grand Sports Center. And it's always nice to be here with you on this program. We promise you another interesting time with us as we save you some of the interesting events that have been happening in the world of sports. On the menu today, we have Eimba's coach Fatai Osho talking ahead of the CAF Champions League first round, first leg match against El Marek of Sudan. It's already been cautious. It says El Marek is a very difficult side, which we already know, and it's already saying that it's going to be a difficult match. We shall be talking about the match as we build up to the match which takes place tomorrow in Sudan. Ghana has won the WAFU B Under-20 Championship. As you may recall, the Flying Eagles were eliminated in the first round from the group stage, and that was as far back as early last week, and they've been home since. And the tournament ended on Sunday with Ghana, and that was instrumental to the Flying Eagles elimination, going all the way to win the trophy. We shall be looking at that competition. And also the Nigerian Basketball Federation had refused to accept responsibility for failure to organize Nigerian Premier Basketball League in the last 2 years. So for the past 2 years, there's been no basketball league in Nigeria, and the NBBF says they are not responsible. Well, who could have been responsible? What could have been responsible? We shall be talking about all this in the course of the program. Also, Arsenal, they are bracing themselves for the worst in the event of any eventuality where they see themselves relegated, because they are presently placed just 4 points above the relegation zone presently in the English Premier League. And in football, they always say anything can happen. So should it happen that they go down to the championship, there is this prospect that the players face the possibility of pay cuts. So many of the big players, the big earners in the team, will have to have their salaries slashed drastically to accommodate the new reality where they will play in the championship. But it has not happened yet. It's just preparing for the worst in case it happens. Then also the big one in boxing we've been talking about, the Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury clash. We heard that a verbal agreement has been reached, so that match is very much likely to take place next year, and so we shall be looking at the build-up to that match already. In tennis, Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer scoop awards at this year's ATP event. Talking about the annual ATP awards, they've all been awarded for the impressive awards in different categories, and we shall be talking about the ATP awards because of the program, plus the Super Eagles watch, and today in sports history. These are more we have for you on the program, so sit back and enjoy yourself. I am Donald Agbabobo. I'm joined as usual by Austin Arome. Yeah. And Blessing Bassey.
It's good to be here as well.
So together we should try to spice up your day with a very interesting edition of the Grand Sports Center. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. We'll go straight to the business of the day. Back, and we go straight away to our first issue, which I will be talking about the CAF Champions League first leg, first round match between Eimba of Aba and El Marek. That match comes up tomorrow in Sudan. Eimba's coach Fatai Osho is already talking, sounding a note of caution, saying that El Marek is a difficult team. Austin, I know this fact you already know that El Marek is a difficult team. Yeah. So obviously, I'm sure that what Fatai Osho is saying is not new to most Nigerians. Yeah. But then he's talking about the match being a difficult one. We already know that it's difficult because anytime you play in Sudan, it's going to be very difficult. So what should we actually be expecting from that match?
Yeah, we should be expecting a tough encounter, for Enyimba. But then this team that I'm seeing, I know they have a lot of experience, the likes of Farouk Mohammed, Ghanaian imports. the likes of Victor Mboma, even though he's going to miss the first
That's
leg.
Enyimba tournament.
Yeah, he's going to miss the first leg. The likes of um, Olufemi Thomas, these guys are better when it comes to the Champions League. I know Femi Thomas was involved in the Champions League with Lobby Stars at one point. He was at Aqua United where they were involved in the Confederations Cup. So we're talking about experience here. I know they have the experience, and one thing about Enyimba is that so far so good. They've been able to keep their best players, and I believe they have what it takes to actually pull through.
This issue of Nigerian league not starting will always come up when we talk about Nigerian teams on the continent. We can't run away from it. How far do you think it will affect Enyimba tomorrow?
I think we have gotten to the stage where we won't want to talk about the Nigerian league obviously affecting Enyimba because they've played against Raimo recently, yes, and obviously they had to qualify for this stage. So I think the best thing is to just keep their heads high in their game against El Marik, and expect the very best. The fact that they are going all the way to Sudan. You remember last year when El Ali had to, stop them. But let's expect that they do very well, against El Marik.
So the fact that El Hilal, another Sudanese team, stopped them last year, and Enyimba will not want a repeat of it. Exactly. How much of motivation would that be? Do you think would that be for Enyimba?
Yes, I believe Enyimba can, go, ahead of. I believe Enyimba can, do better, in their game against El Marik, judging by the fact that they won't be playing with fans, and the fact that they would want to do better, because we saw how, they had to score, in their first leg just so, it helped them, boost their chances.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, so they have to try not to concede a goal against Marik tomorrow.
Well, so how important is a good result in the first leg for Enyimba? Because in the last round against Raimo, they won away 1-0. But then we thought that it was all done and dusted. But second leg, Raimo came and played 1-1 here. So how important is the first leg result for Enyimba?
Yeah, with the kind of situation we find ourselves, we all know that it's not a matter of playing at home or away. Now, when you're playing away, it feels like you're playing at home or even on a neutral ground because there are no fans there. So, for this result, I believe it's such an important result for Enyimba. They need to take at least something from this match because we know how good this Emirate is. Talking about the stadium now, I believe Emirate playing at home is going to be like a neutral ground for them because it's not their own stadium, so they will have to in a way try to understand the stadium
because they're not playing their traditional ground.
Yeah,
they're playing early last stadium. It's just like saying Enyimba don't play in Aba, play in Port Harcourt.
Yes.
So it's still same Nigeria.
Still the same thing,
so do you think that that's much of an issue? Would that actually count? They're still playing in the Sudan.
Yeah, sometimes it counts, because some people are actually used to that their stadium. The pitch depends on what the facility they have.
They know every grass.
They know every grass.
On the
they
pitch,
know,
right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
They know how it feels on the pitch. Yeah. Well, sorry, I'm being sarcastic, but when I keep on hearing that you're not playing in your traditional stadium, I'm playing in the now. This is the same Sudan, just like the comparison I made.
Yeah.
Instead of playing in Aba, you play in Owerri.
Yeah.
So it's something like that.
Yeah, but they are all professionals. So wherever you are being called to play, you should play it and play it like it's your home. And right now, Emirate, they're a good side. So playing, not playing at their home ground is not even enough excuse for Enyimba to say they are going there to beat them. But all the same, we wish Enyimba the best of luck.
Yes, indeed. You just said it. We wish Enyimba the best of luck, and we hope for a good result. Not just Enyimba, and also Rivers United. They are playing the CAF Confederations Cup. They are playing against Bloemfontein Celtics of South Africa. They are already in South Africa, and we understand that they've had to undergo COVID-19 test. Blessing. Normal protocol, right?
Obviously. It's a good thing that they've arrived safely and they've gone through the process of undergoing the test, and they've be confirmed fit, for that that match with their South Africa counterpart. But at the same time, I feel that they should come out, with their heads high, have a positive spirit, and go into that game. They narrowly escaped in their last game, so
against the Toro Kings,
exactly. So
it was a penalty shootout. Same with Bloemfontein as well. They also went qualified through via penalty shootout. So both of them, you can say that they narrowly escaped, so they have a point to prove this time around.
Yeah.
Yes, and the fact that they are playing away is an opportunity to get a point from that match.
Yes, indeed. So we wish them the best of luck, talking about Eimba in the CAF Champions League and Rivers United in the CAF Confederations Cup. We'll take a break, and when we'll come back, we'll talk more on the program Grand Sports Center. Welcome back to the Grand Sports Center. And Ghana under 20 team has won the WAFU B under 20 championship as it defeated Burkina Faso 2-1 on Sunday. It's no longer news, but the whole situation reminds us of the failure of the Flying Eagles. Well, we've seen we're always quick to say that. The Nigerian team did not get to prepare very well. It's also good to know that this COVID-19 issue affected everybody. So, but then, how come Ghana, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire seem to get it right? Once again, we faltered when it mattered most.
Yeah, I think I'll put the blame on everybody: the players, the coaches, and even the management of the team entirely, because they were given adequate time to prepare, because they spent months, like up to a month in camp. So that should actually be enough time to prepare for a competition. But then them going to WAFU competition, under 20 competition, and not doing well is down to the players as well, because they did not do what they were supposed to do. Against Ivory Coast, they played a 1-1 draw, and that match they didn't play too well. And we considered a last-minute goal, which actually leaves us with needing to beat Ghana. And unfortunately for us, we played well against Ghana, and we could not take our chances. And that was what actually played against us. And we're now waiting for Ghana to beat Ivory Coast, which did not happen. So this leaves us with what we have now.
Well, I don't know if 1 month is enough to prepare a team from scratch, because it's a team from the scratch. The players were coming together for the first time. So in terms of the length of time, I wouldn't know whether 1 month is enough. But all I know is that I want to believe that every country had the same period to prepare, because the COVID-19 or coronavirus pandemic affected everybody. But again, it brings us back to this issue we're talking about. The fact that the players we selected were not even active. They came from their various homes to the camp. The league wasn't on. Would that also have been a factor why the Flying Eagles couldn't fly?
Well, we've obviously seen the result of what we worked for. If I should put it that way, because if we had prepared ahead of time, and if the league had obviously started, it would have prompt players, and the welfare of the players, if they were being looked into, it would have helped the WAFU on the 20 team to an extent. But we saw the result of Ghana at the end of the day. They obviously won. That shows how much confidence they've built over time. They just needed to get past the big teams, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, and obviously they won against Burkina Faso, and they played a spectacular a game and came out victorious at the end of the day.
Yes, indeed. So for Ghana and Burkina Faso, they will be representing West Africa in the Africa Under-20 Championship in Mauritania in February. We wish them the very best of luck. They say when you prepare well, you get the result. For Nigeria, it's back to the drawing board, and we hope that next time around, the Flying Eagles will get it right. We'll take another break. When we return, we'll talk basketball. The Nigerian Basketball Federation refusing to accept responsibility for the fact that the Nigerian Premier Basketball League has not held for the past 2 years. Well, we'll talk about that when we come back from this break. Welcome back to Grand Sports Center, and next we'll talk basketball. The Nigerian Basketball Federation, under the chairman, under the leadership of Musa Kida, have refused to accept responsibility for the fact that the Nigerian Premier Basketball League has not held in the last 2 years. For 2 years, there's no basketball league in the country, and the implication of that is not far-fetched in terms of grassroots development and development of the game generally in the country. Austin, when the league is not, when we talked about the Nigerian league not taking place, not starting, and how it has affected the team, but our own basketball league has not held for the past 2 years, though they say because of litigations in court. But then, where does this all lead Nigerian basketball to? The national team, the Tigers, may be doing well, but then the core of the responsibility of the NBBF, we know, is to develop the game in the country.
Yeah.
So where does this all leave Nigerian basketball?
I think this would actually leave basketball in shambles, if you ask me. You know, not having a league and depending on other league to supply your player, I think it's a dangerous game we are playing here. What if these guys refuse to come and play for us? So how do we get to, you know, win these games?
Or are they taking it lightly or treating the issue with levity because they know they could always call on the foreign-based players when the national team wants to play? Could that be why it's not actually been an issue? Because if for 2 years the league has not been held and you blame it on various court cases, and you still are not deemed fit to find a solution to it, I mean, not just the federation now, all the stakeholders involved. Is it because they know that when it comes to national team football, they have a team outside the country that will always play for us?
Yeah, I think on the part of the MBBF, I think they're trying to be careful. You know, when you are dealing with this kind of case, you have to be careful, especially when the court is involved. So if the matter is in court, I don't think there's any need to organize a league.
Agreed.
So at this point in time,
I agree with you, Austin. But listen, the case is in court. We know quite all right, and you can't go against what the court says. You just have to stay off organizing anything or doing anything contrary to what the court has said. So that is agreed. But then the stakeholders now, what are they doing? You know, if for 2 years basketball league has not held this, it means that Nigerian basketball players have not been active for 2 good years. And the stakeholders and those involved with all the litigations going on, what do they actually want? And why do you think it has been difficult for them to come together to say, hey, this is taking too long?
Well, should I say is actually quite unfortunate if you ask me, honestly speaking, because Nigeria has a huge potential when it comes to basketball. We have experienced men and women. You know, it's a game that, you know, lots of youth wants to play. You know, it's a competitive game. You know, I see no reason why the league you know, after football is basketball. The basketball league have not started, and the case of basketball is being taken to court. I mean, why is it that we need to look, you know, into this very matter and make sure that basketball league starts, you know?
Yeah, we are quick to take the credit, the MBBF, take credit for the performance of the Tigers. That has really concluded Afro basketball qualifiers in Rwanda. But then this is more of this is more important than any other thing because it has to do with the means of livelihood of Nigerians who are based there. And most of these people are breadwinners for their various families. And the too many youths that are into basketball at various levels are also being deprived of competitions because the Premier League is not going on. It means that it trickles down, and basketball activity generally is at a very, very low end. What is the role of the sports ministry in all this? What do you think? What role do you think they can play?
I think the role of the sport ministry should be to mediate. First of all, call all of them together because I know it's just a matter of interest. Everybody is trying to push forward his or her interest. So at this point in time, call everybody together. What is actually the problem? You know, try to resolve this issue between them because I don't see us moving forward if we don't resolve this league issue. Because what if, just like we're talking about the Olympics the other day, where the NBA were talking about not allowing players to go for the Olympics. So what if the NPA refused to let our players to come and play for the Tigers? How do we get our players? Our players have been redundant for close to 3 years. I think the minister has to step in at this point in time. You know, we need our league back.
And for the stakeholders, what do you think should be their attitude now? Is it not high time they shoot their sword? Whatever may have been the difference, at least for the interest of, if they really call the same stakeholders, which means they have the interest of the game at heart. Don't you think that it's, or do you think it's time they should shoot their sword?
Yeah, I think so because I feel like we should leave this political aspect of basketball and the fact of going to court. You know, we should try and bring the undying love of basketball among especially the youth. You know, stakeholders, like you said, need to look, you know, into the aspect of, you know, promoting or bringing back to life the basketball league, especially because that's what majority, you know, of the youth and Nigerian ones at this point.
Yes, you can imagine number of players, coaches, referees, other people involved in various aspects of the game that have been made redundant, jobless in the last 2 years. We just hope that this issue will be resolved and soon we'll get to see the Nigerian Premier Basketball League start again. We'll still have more for you on the Grand Sports Center, but we'll take a break and when we come back, we shall be talking about football, what's happening in England, precisely Arsenal. These are not the best of time for Arsenal, but then they face the prospect of playing in the championship should their results not get better in the coming weeks. So when they go down to the championship, what will happen? Salary slash. Well, we'll talk about that when we come back from this break. Welcome back to the Grand Sports Center and moving on, Arsenal, this is unthinkable, but then it's a prospect, something that may happen or may not happen, depending on how the fortunes of the club turns out to be at the end of this year's Premier League season. For now, it's not looking too good. It's looking very, very bleak. I say bleak. Last 7 matches, they've not won. They've been able to get just 2 points in the last 7 matches. And that does not tell well of a team that wants to stay in the Premier League, let alone fight for the title or finish in the top 4 position. But then this situation is what is staring the club, Arsenal and their fans in the face. And already speculations are already rife about what may likely happen should it eventually turn out that Arsenal get to be relegated at the end of the Premier League season. I'm not saying they are relegated though, so get me right, don't get me wrong. Well, the players, the superstars that presently play for that team who are enjoying superstar status as Premier League players, earning fast salaries, will have those salaries slashed by 25%. It's understood that in England, most of the clubs that don't have, that feel that they may likely be relegated at the end of the season, some of the lower teams, some of the small teams, normally insert such clauses of salary slash on the players' salaries, so should they be relegated. But it was discovered that Arsenal, whether they had an idea of what was going to happen, or I don't know, but it was called Arsenal also inserted such clause in salaries of the players, 25% slash, and that shows that the players like Aubameyang and the others, should they be relegated, will have their salaries slashed. Well, without trying to explain the scenario too much, Austin, it's first and foremost, it's even unthinkable. That's now relegated.
Yeah. I don't think that will happen. I don't think that will happen. I don't think that will happen. Right now, Arsenal, they're not in good form. But then, if you look at, below them, you see that even the teams below them, they are not doing well either. It's like they don't even want to move up the way they are losing. So, so I can say at this point, it's not time to panic. I believe Arsenal will not be relegated, but then something has to be done.
Listen, is it true? There's no time to panic. 2 points from last 7 matches, out of a maximum of 30 points, you got 2, and no time to panic.
It's actually a time to panic because judging by the fact that, let's assume I am to be an Arsenal fan, I will be worried, because they are close to relegation. For goodness sake, they are 15th on the table. They are as good as being just 5 points. These are things that obviously these small clubs are facing, and Arsenal will tend to face it. Arsenal is a big club. We expected them to at least be among the top 5, but at this point they are really facing a very, very serious crisis, and it's like you said, it's going to affect their slash. Imagine player like Aubameyang or Mesut Ozil, being slashed, their salary being slashed is obviously going to be a cause for concern.
But then now, without preempting anything, should it even happen, would those players actually go down with them?
I don't think that will happen. I don't think they'll go down with them. If you look at the quality of the players at Arsenal, they will not want to play in the second division. But then the only team that might want to tempt them to go to that second division is that big box, and Arsenal cannot afford to pay that kind of money in that second division. So I believe a lot of those players will definitely leave the club if that happens.
And blessing, these are uncharted waters for Arsenal, because they've never been in this kind of situation, at least not in recent times, as far as our memory can take us. They've not been in kind of situation, and you can clearly say that they may find themselves in a very difficult situation, because it's one thing to be up there with your confidence high, knowing that you're rubbing shoulders with the big boys, and another thing, trying to get those points that will take you out of relegation battle. So, what do you think, Arsenal? It's a real dangerous situation for Arsenal, right?
Oh well, I get the fact that they're passing through a very serious situation right now. It's a very difficult one for Arsenal, especially with the fact that they had to struggle it out. Manchester United are among top 4 now. I mean, where were they on the table? I think they were like 11th now on the table before. I mean, Arsenal can try as much as possible, to move, away from at least the, just at least try, to be, because the games are still open.
But where is the issue really? These were the same players that won the FA Cup last year and ended the league strongly last season. So where's the problem coming from this time?
Well, I kind of feel it's coming from the coaching ability too, to an extent, because
But the coach that won the FA Cup with them.
yeah, he actually changed his pattern. If you look at it from the beginning of the season where he started, it's actually different from this very this very time, because if he had not changed his pattern a little bit, it wouldn't have affected the Arsenal style of play, and judging by the fact that he's also a freshman or a fresh coach, there's a lot to learn from, being.
But what about the injury problems? Could this also have contributed?
Yeah, the injury problem. The injury problem is part of it. But then I feel the board too, they have their own problem. How can you have a player like Mesut Ozil on your bench, and because of one reason or the other, and he's even the highest earner.
But Mesut Ozil wasn't a regular last season as well.
Yeah.
When they did well. So I don't think Mesut Ozil is a factor per se. Fine, I agree. If you have a player like Mesut Ozil,
yeah,
in these kind of situations where you need players,
exactly,
you should consider him. But then, given the fact that even last year, it's not as if he was integral part of the team last year. So, where could be the issue?
The problem is...
talked about the coach.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And now the injury issues as well.
The injury issue, the board, Unai Emery, before he left, he complained about the board. He actually complained to the fact that he never wanted Nicolas Pepe, to come into the club. The board forced the player on him. And I'm sure when the season started, Arteta had one or two players in mind, apart from, Partey. They had the Marcel guy, Aouar, in mind. They had other, players too in mind, but they didn't get those guys. So you cannot expect Arteta to perform magic. In as much as he is a young coach, he has proven himself by winning the FA Cup and even beating Liverpool at the Community Shield.
Well,
it shows he has something.
That if you're a coach, you work with the players that you have. So if the board can't get to your players, you work with the players that you have. And well, we're not actually running down Arsenal. We're just trying to assess the situation because we're worried. Why would a team like Arsenal be in this kind of situation? And it's not a situation that is not redeemable. That is just the truth. It's a redeemable situation, and I feel that they have the personnel, and they also have the coach that will take them out of it. Because if he could win the FA Cup last season, it means that he has something up there. He has worked with great coaches like Guardiola, and he proved it when he won the FA Cup with the team last year. So I'm sure he has something to offer. I just believe it's a matter of time, and Arsenal will get out of this issue, and will not have to experience what we're talking about, the slashing salaries of the players. Still talking English football though, which I'll take in on the break now. We shall talk about the issue of black coaches. Since the Black Lives Matters campaign started, when players started taking a knee, the issue of there's been some reforms in the English game where some level of allowance has been made for black coaches to be engaged by football clubs, and this is a good development. Carlton Cole, you remember him, former Chelsea player, former West Ham player, has said that this is the best time for English coaches, for black coaches to come into English football following the change and the support for racial equality across board at the moment. But it says that for you to come on, you will not just get the job because you're black, you must also have developed yourself. I think Carlton Cole is saying the right thing.
Yeah, I actually support him on this one. You don't just because of the fact that they now have a sport. They have sports now for black players, and you just want to rush in. You have to build yourself. You don't just come into coaching like that. You have to be prepared for it. You see the likes of Patrick Vieira now in France doing what they are doing. He lost his job recently, but then he was reappointed again because he did a good job with Nice the previous season. So I believe if they can, prepare, work for it, why not? They can also, be the one celebrating winning the EPL at one point in the future.
How great would that be to have a black coach in the dugout as a Premier League champion? But then, a lot of Premier League players in the past, black players in the past that we know that would have thought that by now would have been operating at the highest level of coaching in England, but are nowhere to be found. So is it that really the black was it as a result of the issue of racism that didn't encourage many of them to go into coaching, or maybe they are just not interested in coaching? What do you think?
Well, I'll start by saying the world is changing. You know, it's not all about not inclusion of black coaches or racial, you know,
Issues.
yeah, issues. You know, I know there have been gender equality and gender issues, especially when it comes to football. But at the same time, it's a welcome idea. I feel that, like you said, the footballers, you know, we expect to see, you know, players who has made the mark, you know, come out, you know, to coach. You know, this is the right time to make an impact, you know, one way or the other. I think the idea of black coaches is welcome, if you'd ask me, and I feel, you know, they should, you know, provide more opportunities for black coaches to coach either in the female or in the male category.
I think football is a universal sport. It speaks universal language that everybody understands. It cuts across racial, ethnic divides, and it's one sport that we know has the ability to bring people together as one. So let's leave it that way, and issues that divide us should not actually wear itself in football. So we hope that, just like Carlton Cole said, more and more black coaches will be found and considered fit enough to be given appointments as managers of league clubs, not just down the lower ranks of the league, but even in the Premier League. But again, the caveat is they must be fully qualified. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we shall be talking boxing. The much talked about encounter, boxing match between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury may finally be taking shape, as we understand that a verbal agreement has been reached by the camps of both boxers. We shall be talking about that when we come back from this break. Welcome back to the Grand Sports Center and talking boxing. Now, boxing promoter Eddie Hearn has confirmed that the all-British heavyweight showdown between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury has been verbally agreed. Well, Austin, we've talked about this fight. Even before the Joshua Pulev fight, it was Joshua Fury we're talking about. So it has always been in the air. Now, they say there is a verbal agreement, and it's like the bout is like it's started taking shape. And should we be really happy about this?
Yeah,
because it was inevitable that this fight was owned in the first place.
Yeah, and this is what a lot of people have been looking forward to, the whole issue of him fighting Andrews, fighting Pulev. It's all, you know, down to this particular match. Even the Boxing Federation, I believe this is one match they've been looking forward to. But, you know, I'm so happy they've been able to get, you know, all these things over with. And we are actually expecting, you know, to watch Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury finally.
But there are also cases in court that may likely stop this fight. Tyson Fury is presently lost a legal battle with Deontay Wilder because they said they had a signed agreement that they will have a rematch. They had a draw in the first match, Tyson Fury beating the second match. Then said the agreement was that they will have a third fight trilogy, as they say. But Tyson Fury said it's done and dusted with Deontay Wilder. But there's a case in court to that effect. Also, Alexander Usyk, who was penciled down as the first as a top contender to fight Anthony Joshua at Apolev, is also there saying that it's his turn to have a shot at the world title. So he may likely go to court as well to seek redress. With all these things in the air, should we be happy or should we just be careful, because these are still early days in terms of being sure of that fight holding?
Well, the fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury has brought a lot in between. You know, it's expected, you know, judging by the fact that they are the heavyweight champions, you know, of the world, and the fact that various competitors will come one way or the other to prove a point, you know. But I think the all-expected fight is that of Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury all the way, because even if they have to go to court for this issue or that issue, we end up seeing at the end of the day which particular fight.
And they have even said, promoter has even suggested that if the court case persists, and the court case is, and they are there in court because of the belt, you know, Tyson Fury has one of the belts, and Joshua is holding one of the belts as well. The WBO actually is one on this, Alexander Usyk is a top contender to fight for. The promoter has always said that they may likely drop the belt, so that fine, if because of the belt, we are dropping the belt so that the fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua can take place. Is it necessary to go that far just to have this fight happen?
Well, if it's necessary to go that far, why not? I mean, the big one is Anthony Joshua.
It's a big one because we understand that it's $500 million fight, which means $500 million split between in terms of prize money.
Yeah.
We don't know how much is going to each camp yet, but from every indication, AJ may likely earn more because he has 3 of the belts.
Yeah.
And what else depends on negotiations all the way. So this is the biggest fight ever then.
Yeah, it's going to be the biggest fight, you know, ever, as far as, you know, the heavyweight category is concerned. Anthony Joshua, you know, and Tyson Fury, they are both on 21 knockouts. But then, considering the number of fights, you know, they didn't actually count some of his Anthony Joshua's fight, you know, because of the fact that he was not, you know, actually pro then. But then he batters the record of Tyson Fury. But then one-on-one is what a lot of people are actually looking forward to. They want to know what Anthony Joshua can do to Tyson Fury, and likewise want to see what Tyson Fury can do to Anthony Joshua, so that we'll just end this debate once and for all.
Yes, indeed. These are indeed good times for British boxing. We know that 2 heavyweight champions of the world from Britain. At some point, the Americans used to dominate the heavyweight category, but they now shifted to Britain. And also, the Ukrainians also took charge when the Klitschko brothers were in charge of all the belts as well. And now the Britons are in charge of it all. So probably one day we'll come to Nigeria, we're going to see a Nigerian. Anthony Joshua is a Nigerian though, but presenting Britain, but he has identified fully with us, so we are very much behind him as well. So, but then we'll see somebody that's actually announced, when the ring announcers is announcing his name, says Nigeria, not Britain or UK. So that's what I mean by that. So we're going to see the Nigerians dominating as well at this stage of boxing. But some people will tell me that that's a long, long way to go. But it's impossible in sports. At some point, Nigerian football was nowhere near where it is today. But today, the Nigerian football is counted because in every World Cup we play, the Super Eagles listed as one of the top teams. And any team we want to play always speaks about the possibility of losing to the Super Eagles given the quality of players that we have. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on the Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight. They say it will happen around May or June next year. They've still not decided. But the fact that there's a verbal agreement shows that negotiations are moving on fine. So we'll take another break. When we'll come back, we'll talk tennis. Novak Djokovic has achieved a lot this year, continue to achieve, continues to be in the news. As we talk about the 2020 ATP Awards, where Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, and Roger Federer scoop various awards. Welcome back to the Grand Sports Center. Next we talk tennis. You know, let me draw this analogy between tennis and football. When there's a football award, it's either Messi, Ronaldo that wins. So, although this year Lewandowski actually scooped it, but then it will be difficult for a tennis award to win without either Novak Djokovic or Nadal or Federer picking awards. But it's around all three of them picked awards, various categories. Djokovic won 4 titles this season, including the Australian Open, was named as scooped the top award for finishing as #1 in the ranking for a record equally 6 times, and also he also became the oldest player to finish to end the year as #1 at the age of 33 years, 6 months, 16 days, overtaking the record of Nadal of 33 years, 5 months, 23 days. So for Nadal, he received an award called that is named after former Swedish tennis star Stefan Edberg. He called the Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award, which is voted for by ATP players. Well, let's talk about the Novak Djokovic Award. That is the top award for finishing top as #1. Well deserved, you may say.
Yeah, he has been outstanding this year. Just just like every other year. These three, I'll choose to call them the three musketeers. You know, they've been on each other's neck, and you know, that's one thing about sport. You know, that's what makes the sport tick, and that's what makes it interesting. You know, when you see people trying to get accolades, you know, at one point in time. So
every sport artist, Ronaldo,
and
Messi, and Neymar.
Yeah. So
anyway, for Rafael Nadal, his own award was voted. It's an award that is voted for by fellow tennis players. That's why he said it means so much to him that his fellow players found it worthy to give it to him. It's award given to a player for fair play and good sportsmanship, both in and out of the court. So he was given that award. It's called Stefan Edberg Sportsmanship Award. What do you make of it? Does Nadal actually deserve such an award? Was he actually selfless in terms of his attitude, not just his performance on the court, but general attitude all through the year?
Yes, he was. He was selfless. He deserved the award given to him, if you'd ask me. He's a professional tennis player anytime, even with the fact that he had injury at the point, you know. He's very good in the singles events, although, you know, I think he obviously deserved that award, if you'd ask me.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. And also, Roger Federer was awarded the Singles Fans Award for a record extending 18th straight year. This is 18th time every year he wins this award. Fans favorite.
Yeah.
Why is he always fans favorite? Despite he had an injury ravage year, he didn't play much, still won this award.
I think it's all down to, you know, the fans. The love has been there for him.
So that means even after he's retired, he will still be winning the award. Is that what it means?
Of course.
Well, moving on, other awards recipients were Andrei Rublev, who received the Most Improved Player award. He rose from number 23 in the ranking to number 8 in the course of the year. Also, Vasek Popisil from Canada was named Comeback Player of the Year as he started the year outside the top 100, but finished at number 61. Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz won the Newcomer of the Year award as he closed the season at number 41 after starting the campaign at number 400. He closed the season at number 141 after starting the campaign as number 491. What a leap that was. So there are some of the awardees. Also, American Tiafo, who received Ato Ash Humanitarian Award for his work off the court during the pandemic hit 2020 season. He was said to have auctioned off his signed memorabilia to raise money for coronavirus relief effort. What a worthy cause. We also had somebody like Marcus Rashford doing such material things in Britain, and was recently awarded also for such things. So we congratulate Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic, and Roger Federer, and all the other awardees. And as we wrap it up on the program today, we also hear that Novak Djokovic has withdrawn from this month's ATP Player Council elections. As you may recall, sometime last year, he had resigned from this position from the ATP Players Council to form another rival tennis players association called the Professional Tennis Players Association, PTPA. But then recently he said the fellow players had also nominated him to run for this position again. So he is in charge of PTPA, a new association. Then he also wants to get back as an official of the ATP Players Council. But then he has finally withdrawn from that election, says conflict of interest, citing conflict of interest, saying that it's not possible. A wise decision by Djokovic.
Yeah, I think at the point I was thinking, I'm beginning to think it's two sides, because at the point we heard that he wanted to come back to ATP, but then if you want to form an association, you want to form a union, and then you are not too sure about it, it means you're not planned well for that association. So
even the fact that the likes of Nadal and Federer did not even support that association. Don't you think that it's as good as dead on arrival, because you need support of big players for such an association to gain grounds?
Yeah, we need support. He needs the support of big players, because it's as good as not having, that association, if you ask me.
Anyway, as we wrap it up on the program, let's quickly run through the Super Eagles watch. Ike Ugbo, you know him in recent times, has been among the goals for Cercle Brugge. He's on loan from Chelsea. He has scored 10 goals in the Belgian league this season. A very young player. We understand that Chelsea is having it difficult keeping him, as interests have been flooding him from left, right, and center across Europe for his services. The latest is from top Russian side FC Rostov, and Chelsea turned down their approach, which means that more offers will come in the coming days. He has become more property already, and Chelsea may be looking at integrating him into the first team maybe next season, because he's doing so well. 10 goals already in 15 matches this season for Cercle Brugge in Belgium. No mean feat, you must say. Worries for Napoli over the fitness of Victor Osimhen, as the sporting director of that club, Cristiano Giuttoli, is not too happy that Victor Osimhen has not recovered. Actually, the coach Gattuso is not happy, and the coach and the sporting director Cristiano Giuttoli says they can't even put a hand on when he will return to action, because the shoulder injury sustained while on international duty with Nigeria is taking time to heal. We just hope that he returns to fitness soon. The player has even had to leave Italy to go to Belgium for continuous rehabilitation, where when he saw Belgium national team physiotherapist Livio Masterclack, who also at one time worked on fellow Napoli star Dries Mertens. So he's seeking the services of well-renowned physiotherapists from left, right, and center, and that injury still persists. We hope that by the turn of the year, things will get better and he will return back to action. Wilfred Ndidi, we can't stop talking about him. Since he returned from injury, he has been in the news over his superlative performance for Leicester. If his coach Brendan Rodgers is not praising him, his teammates, the last time was Madison, that praised him, saying that he feels secured having Ndidi at his back. And just only yesterday, another teammate, James Justin, has described him as the brick wall of the team. Described him as a brick wall of the team that breaks up the play of opponents. So accolades all the way coming in for Wilfred Ndidi. And finally, congratulations to Super Falcons defender Osinachi Ohale, who turned 29 on Monday. Both FIFA, the World Football Governing Body, and the Nigerian Football Federation have extended messages of congratulations to her, as she turns 29. Wish her the best as she continues to offer services to Club Roma and, of course, the Nigerian female national team, the Super Falcons. This is where we drop anchor on the program this morning. We hope this afternoon, so to speak, because it's almost 12. We hope you've had a nice time with us. We're looking forward to having you join us once again tomorrow, same time, same station, for another interesting edition of the program, the Grand Sports Center. I want to quickly thank Austin Arome for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me.
And Blessing Basi.
It was great being part of the show.
Donald Agbabobo, on behalf of all of us and the entire production crew, enjoy the rest of the day.